Hello, everyone. How's it all going? How's it all going? How y'all doing? That's like a portmanteau of how's it going and how y'all doing. So, my name is Guy Royse, and welcome to my stream. We are tonight going to be working on the Evercraft Kata. I believe this is episode 8 of the Evercraft Kata. I am hell-bent to finish this thing. Hell-bent come hell or high water? Hell yeah. Let's see how many hells we get in there. Anyhow, the Evercraft Kata is a coding exercise to practice test-driven development. It is test driving a sort of third edition Dungeons and Dragons like thing. And this is a kata that my friend George and I made about a decade ago. And I am ashamed to admit, but we'll still do it, that I have never completed this exercise, even though I've run workshops, dozens of workshops, using it as a tool, as the thing that we work on to learn test-driven development. And so I thought I would make a series, and then, of course, a series of YouTube videos where I actually do this thing. And so if you're wondering, it's big. It's this is episode 8, 2-hour streams. I've been working on this thing for like 14 hours. But part of why it hasn't mattered that I've never finished it is because no one in the workshop ever finishes the Evercraft Kata either. So because it's big, it's got enough content that they can take it beyond the workshop and then finish it up as just an exercise. So I am doing this currently in JavaScript, and I'm using Jest. I haven't used Jest much, and so I've been trying to use it a bit more. I've done this in a lot of other languages. JavaScript is sort of my go-to language for a lot of things, and so I've been using it to do this in JavaScript. And I've gotten all the way down. Let me get a screen up here so you can see what I'm working on here. Here we go. There's the requirements. So I've gotten through iteration 1, all the core requirements, creating a character, giving them alignment, armor class, hit points, and stuff like that. And then I'm in the process of adding classes. And this came with a big refactor because things just sort of spiraled up. There's a lot of permutations here, and so it makes the test kind of hard. And the hero class that I had written became a bit of a god object, and so I broke it up into functional subdivisions. So you have a hero, and when you ask the hero, for example, the character's level, it will delegate to a class that's specialized for computing the level of the character. And so these are some of the refactors that I made in the course of doing this. I'm in the midst of working on Paladin. And Paladin has this interesting rule that says when it's attacking an evil character, its abilities, the values of these functions are going to change. And I was using properties, property getters and property setters in JavaScript, but if I want to get the attack damage and it depends on a variable, I can't really use the property getters and setters anymore because I can't pass arguments into them. And so I did a refactor to make these things easier to do. So we've got fighter in here. Fighter was easy. Rogue had a ignores opponent's dexterity modifier. So there's an interaction between the attacker and the defender, between the hero and the opponent. That's reflected here. And originally I put that into a separate class, but then it made sense to make that an argument and ask the question that way instead. So, and Paladin really reinforces that. Coming into the stream tonight, I've been kind of noodling on the idea that maybe, let's look at my code here. Maybe, I got my hero here, and there's abilities, there's level and experience, there's alignment, there's class, and the class is all about having the enumeration for the string that is the class. It's not really enumeration because this is JavaScript, but there's a string that's a class, and it validates that you are using correct classes. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe the class should have been like, you have a class, the hero class, and then it could have subclasses of Paladin and Rogue and stuff like that, that you could then assign to the hero. And then when it comes time to compute something like experience, it would ask that to vote on it in some way. I don't know what that looks like. And I may get there, because looking forward at the kata, I've got races, which do assorted things. And then iteration 4 is items. And so you can have a weapon, you can have armor, you can have a shield, and you can have various magic items. And I don't want to just have these be strings and have a logic that says if equipment includes +1 ring of protection, then add 1 to armor class. I want to ask the ring what it does, have a say in it. And so I'm wondering if maybe races and classes should work a similar way. Right now, it's not too convoluted, but if they did work in a similar way, I might be able to test them independently. And so I could test, for example, the Paladin, and when you give it an attack damage, it would say what the attack, it would compute that back for you. It would create a modified version of that. And then we can create like a chaining sort of thing, where it goes through like a chain of responsibility. Maybe. I don't know. Kind of making stuff up a little bit here, but where we're at right now, I think. Sorry, I hit Command Tab on a Windows machine. I've been on Macs all day, so I always hit the wrong keys. Where we're at now is this hero has all these getters and setters. A lot of these are just getters because they're read-only. And some of them are perfectly fine as getters. Is alive doesn't change based on any arguments you pass in. Either your hit points are 0 or they're not, right? Current hit points, again, it's a computation. You don't say, what's my current hit points given that I'm being attacked by this kind of creature? That doesn't happen. And so these work as getters, but now they're inconsistent, and that bugs me. Like attack modifier, attack damage, critical damage, armor class damage, and experience. These are really kind of in a separate class. These are things that are all about, return a thing about the hero. These are change the hero. Right? So these are a little different. So I'm going to space them out. I'm not going to leave those comments there, but there's a logical grouping there. And then I got the getters and the setters here. I think I'm going to rearrange a little bit of code here, just a smidgen. Let's put the names together like that. Let's put alignments together. Because these are just straight up getter setters. And then let's put the class together. Because these are things you just set, and that's all you do with them. They're just properties. They're absolute properties on the hero. But the level and the experience points and the strength and the dexterity, these are all, well, the strength, dex, con, wisdom are sort of their own thing. But a lot of these are just computed. As you add experience points, querying the experience points becomes these are read-only properties. I am going to group these slightly separately because they just sort of, not experience points. There we go. So strength, dex, con, wisdom, and we don't have intelligence or charisma yet because we haven't had a need for them yet. There hasn't been any abilities that have asked for them, so we haven't added them in. But these feel a little more logically grouped. And, I could see scenarios where these might change, but we're just going to leave these be. I'm looking forward to looking through the exercise. I know that a level, experience points, hit points, current hit points, and is alive don't have any. Your level is considered this if you are going up against a thing. I know that's not in there. Whereas attacking is where all the versus stuff kind of happens. And so having these attack-oriented things, having like a pass in the defender or the attacker, like so armor class versus a particular attacker, or attack modifiers and damage versus a particular defender. Those are going to change. So I think this is probably sufficient. So I made a couple small changes. Let's run the test. Let's get the tests running. And Nancy, Papa, Mike, test. Come on, Jess, do your thing. There you go. 10 suites, 159 tests passed tests. So let's do the next thing. I'm going to bring up another terminal so I can commit. Git add dot git commit dash m package JSON test change rearranged code. Git push. Make sure it's not staying on my machine. You might notice if you have watched the stream or the videos on YouTube before that I'm using a Windows machine now instead of a MacBook. I finally broke down and I'm using my Windows streaming PC to actually code on as well because it's just a more powerful machine, frankly. And so that's the reason. Nothing more than that. Okay. So let's look at Paladin. +2 to attack and damage when attacking evil characters. Okay, so we got a spec for the attack modifier and the attack damage. Let's close the others. So the attack damage defaults to 1, goes up when hero is beefy, cannot go below 1 when they're a monk. When it's crit. And then, so we got a lot of permutations there. We've got the same sort of thing happening here with permutations, but we've created sort of a bunch of scenarios that we do the same test, because we're just checking the attack modifier and then modifying certain attributes. So we make them a particular level, make them a particular class, set their strength and dex, and then expect the attack modifier to be versus a defender, which is just a stock hero here. Then that works. So we have, and so I think I might want to take this attack damage spec and make it look a little bit more like this hero spec here, because it just makes it easier to write new tests. But maybe I'll go ahead and do let's do the Paladin, the rest of the Paladin here first. Actually, I got an idea. Let's because this is getting long too, and it's been kind of bothering me. And so I think I want to do a half and half, sort of a half measure. Do half one thing and half another. And so right now I've got sort of like generic hero. These all just do these things. Then you've got fighter, rogue, monk, paladin. And I think I want to do a attack modifier for each class. Although that might, well, let's take a look at my specs. Because I think we do that for races as well. Plus, yeah, so dwarf has bonuses to attacking dwarves. Yeah. Yeah. So many permutations, and I'm trying to test all the permutations, and that's so hard. And the frustrating thing is that it doesn't actually drive me to building more tests. That just testing those additional permutations. I want those permutations because I want it to fully cover all the scenarios in the code. I want to test the code in every intersection we want. But we got so many variables, you end up with these n-dimensional arrays that we're trying to test. And this here gives me sort of a I can hierarchically decompose that, or I can hierarchically decompose that. It's just each row represents duplication in the hierarchy, so to speak. So like you got the fighter here. Like we got here, it goes up for, when we look at attack modifier, we look at the attack modifier for different levels for the fighter, different levels for the rogue, different levels for the monk, different levels for the paladin. They're all essentially the same test. And I'm also testing, hey, when that rogue's strong, well, in the case of the rogue, when the rogue is fast, it goes up, but when they're strong, it doesn't, because rogues use their dex instead of their strength to modify their attack modifier. And so you get all these exceptions, and you just end up with sort of this big list of rules. So let's go ahead and write a test. I'm talking a lot, and I'm not doing any work. I should write some code, shouldn't I? Do you think I should write some code? Let's write some code, guy. Let's write some code. So attack modifier is defaults to 1 for paladins, goes up every level for paladins, goes up for strong, high-level paladins. Okay, and say goes up by 2 when Paladin is attacking evil, comma, curly braces. Get my defaults in there, and then class is Paladin, and we'll just leave them at level 1 and just have an expected attack modifier. So normally that would be a +1, but this is a +3 because they're evil. Opponent. We'll actually make it a sentence. An extra +2 when Paladin is attacking evil opponents. That test should fail. Let's go to the other test and see if they're doing stuff. I got one failed test. That's good. That's what I expect. We need a way to give them an evil opponent. So we've got class, level, strength, dex. We got class, level, strength, dex, and then expected attack modifier. Let's try this. We'll say let evil opponent equal new hero. This feels like a before each, doesn't it? Opponent alignment. And this will default to neutral. And then we can override it here to be opponent alignment. We can make the evil. And then we can say, where's our, so we can say defender dot alignment. No. Equals data dot opponent. Opponent alignment. So we'll make the defender just the way we want them. Still fails because we haven't written any code, but it should be failing on the one test. Goes up by an extra +2, expected 3, received 1. So it's failing for the correct reason. Presumably our alignment is being set on the defender. Seems reasonable. And so we need to go into attack modifier here. And we call attack modifier. We get our attack. There's our attack. There it is. We got a defender, and we say if defender dot armor dot alignment is evil and hero dot underscore hero dot class. Actually, I can just say class. I can say this dot class. I create a little helper for exactly this purpose. Equals Paladin. Then return that plus 2. Otherwise, return this. That should make it pass. That's a really kind of a ugly way to do it. And it doesn't pass. It says this dot class is not a function. Oh, it's, yeah, because it's a property. Okay. There we go. That should pass. And it does. Now, this is really janky code, so I need to refactor it. I was red, now I'm green, now I need to refactor. Because this bit here and this bit here are very, very duplicated. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say let's value, I guess, result equal this. And then if they're Paladin, result plus equals 2, and then return result. That feels a little cleaner. Cool. That was actually pretty easy. I kind of want to make this even cleaner and just say get is Paladin. Let's do that. Let's see how that looks. Return, and then we can say return this dot class, because then it's then we can say if this dot is evil and this dot is Paladin, which I think is a little more semantic. I guess. So let's return that. We got is Paladin. Let's do a get is evil. Return this dot. Yeah, so we don't have the defender at the moment to ask if they're evil. So that's not as easy. That's okay. We could say is evil we can do it like this. Is evil hero defender. We'll do defender. This dot's alignment equals evil. No, defender dot alignment. There we go. And now we can say this dot is evil defender, and this dot is Paladin. And that should still pass. And it does. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. Now, I know this makes it... this all makes it work, but there's a flaw. There's a mistest. Because I'm not testing a Paladin against a neutral opponent. Well, I am testing a Paladin against a neutral opponent. But I'm not testing them against a good opponent. So we need to say does not go up by an when attack a good opponent. And so in that case, it would just be a +1. And we're already testing the neutral scenario. And And that actually failed. I wasn't expecting it to. We were already testing the neutral scenario because that's what all the other ones are, because that's the default. Why didn't that pass? Undefined is not in alignment. What? Undefined is not in alignment. How did adding that one test do that? Oh. Comma. And it's Control S, not Command S. Now, yeah, now they're passing. It turns out if my tests are syntactically correct, they might actually run. So, cool. Well, we've added a little bit of capability alignment to the Paladin. It was easier than I thought it was going to be. So, +2 to attack and damage when attacking evil characters. Does triple damage when critting on an... we did attack. We haven't done damage yet. And so I want to try something here. I'm going to commit this because I don't want to lose it. But I'm going to try and break this up just to make it more readable. Because we've just got this wall of text here, right? We've got this wall of text. I'm looking at my screen and saying it's a wall, and you can't see my hand gestures. Wall, right? Of text here that's just kind of... It's just kind of... And so I want to see if I could break these up by attack modifier by class and then have sort of the same pattern. Because there's different concerns depending on your classes. And so, you know, maybe that will make the test a little cleaner. I'm not sure. We're going to try it. We're going to find out. So git status, git add dot, git commit -m paladins smite evil a bit. Git push. Go back to looking at our tests. Tests are still going. So I'm going to go ahead and let's slide this down here a little bit. I want space on my screen more than anything right now. And so I'm going to say we're going to do describe when well, attack modifier for classless. Got no class. So we'll do that scenario. And then that will be these. And then in essence, we're going to have this. But I think we'll come up with a clever way to refactor that as well. And we need a square bracket there. Yeah, that is very true. You do spend 80% of your time writing your tests. I don't know. I think I'd go with 2/3. But I want these things to be something so someone can come to them and actually like live with them, right? You know, they come and look at them and they're something they can deal with. And then is that the, yeah, that's the end there. That should be back there, shouldn't it? No. Tabs are hard. Okay, yeah, that's the describe. So then we can do describe fighters, or when hero. We'll say for fighters. And then we'll do the same thing for rogues. And then we've got monks And then we've got Paladins. And so then here we're testing sort of the generic scenario of it's 0. I classless, is that a good name here for none? For none doesn't, for class of none, but then down here I don't say for class of fighter. Classless is the best word I can come up with. So I'm just going to split these apart and then look for the refactoring to pull out the duplication. So this now is being tested already elsewhere. And now we've got the fighter. I think I'm just going to test. I don't always reuse code, but when I do, right, I copy and paste. Go into here. That stray bit there. And we'll bring up the defaults again here. I need to copy that up there as well. And then we can copy it and we can clone out Rogue and Monk and Paladin here, because those will come by later. And then we'll do the same thing. Copy. I want that for later. Pasta. This fighter. This is Rogue. I think I still have it on my clipboard here. Yeah, there's Monk. And then there's Paladin. We'll get there. Okay. The Monk, Paladin, we can get rid of all of that. Okay. So now up here, we got our defaults. I mean, these are all perfectly fine defaults. So this is our thing we changed, and this is our expected. So that looks okay. From here, we can just say this is fighter now, which gets rid of a little bit of noise here. And we don't care about dexterity for fighters. It can just be, yeah. Well, yeah, because defaulted up here. Down here, we don't have to specify it. Then here for rogues, we got strength and dex. We just don't need to say the class here anymore. Is this helping? I'm not sure yet. And this is going to be Monk. Okay. Rogue. Fighter. Okay. And then we don't need to override Monk anymore because it's the default. And then up here we'll say Paladin. And that pulls that back a little bit. And everything's still passing. That's good. We have the right number of tests. That's good. And then this little function that we're invoking here, this guy here, I think, does that become just a little helper function? Does that get me back to where I started? Probably. Say function. Let's paste it down here. We'll call it a function. And we'll just pass in the data to this. This will be the function of validate attack modifier. So it creates the new defender. We get all the data coming in here. Okay. And so then this function here can become, instead of that, you can just say validate attack modifier data. Is that right? Line 63, what? Oh. There we go. Thank you very much for catching my my typo, McMahon. Always a good thing. Hello, Vorpal Thunder. How's it going? Having a good day? A good evening? Whatever time of day it is for you. I think that becomes all that we need there. Those pass? Yes, they pass. I'm doing all right. A little tired, but you know, it happens. It's been a long day already. It's on Thursday my work MacBook died, and so then I had to scramble and get everything loaded onto this machine I'm using right now, this Windows machine, so that I could do my job while I take my MacBook to the Apple Store. And then they replaced the logic board, which has the soldered on solid state drive, which means that you lose all your data. So I got to install software all day today. That was my day. But I have other stuff that I actually need to do, which was quite frustrating. But other than that, it's going pretty good. I'm working on Evercraft. That's always fun. So thank you for asking. We have fighter level, dex, strength X. Okay, rogue level, strength X. And then, yeah, so we're just going to... Okay, so line 45 is just going to be copy pasted down to all these. I think I like this. I mean, I'm ending up in exactly the same place, right? But there's a little bit of a hierarchy that is providing some context around these, which I think makes it a little easier to read. So I'm gonna say I'm happy with it. Yeah, it's just annoying, you know. I didn't lose much data. I had like 1 day worth of Git commits that I lost. And a lot of that was just figuring stuff out, not necessarily writing the code. And since I'd figured it all out, recreating it didn't take that long. It was some WebAssembly stuff. I got a talk tomorrow at DevNation that I'm giving on called an Introduction to WebAssembly. And so I had to get my recover my code. I had to recreate it for my demo. So, which, by the way, is my thoughts when I'm done with the Evercraft Kata. Is I was thinking we could do some really low-level WebAssembly stuff, like a WebAssembly text format, coding in assembly language. If that sounds interesting to people, so if that sounds cool to you, let me know. I think WebAssembly is pretty cool. It probably means I'll end up doing some Rust as well. I don't know Rust very well, but I know that they WebAssembly and Rust are peas in a pod. So no, that's not what I wanted to do. Just bringing it in a little bit. Same here. Watch Guy format code. It's so exciting. I don't know. I haven't really figured out what I want to do yet. I think I might just want to sort of gear it towards explaining it to everyone. And so start out with something really simple so I can kind of teach WebAssembly at the low WebAssembly text format level. And then maybe build up to doing maybe a simple web app, a client-side web app in Rust, using the Rust WebAssembly bindgen stuff. There's a lot of extensions that have come into WebAssembly, but they're not quite there yet. The WebAssembly interface types let you do strings and stuff like that, which you can't do with native WebAssembly. But it's sort of supported. The browsers aren't supporting it. And there's a polyfill, but then the polyfill has been pulled back because the spec keeps changing, and so it's all very bleeding edge. The demo scene like stuff. I'm not sure what you mean by the demo scene. I think of demos. I think of like back in the 90s. They had demos that you'd upload to your bulletin board. And they were just like really cool. Run this and it does cool graphics and stuff like that. And that's the only context I have there. It's an old reference, and so I don't know if that's what you're getting at or not. But yeah. So please elucidate me. More formatting of text here. Maybe I should do like a video game. Using like a canvas or something like that. Okay, so it's the same scene. Okay, it hasn't changed. Yeah. So, okay. So yes, I do know what that is. I haven't looked at it in 30 years. Let's get some more space in here. I know I'm mildly ill in my desire to want these things to line up. Please forgive me. I think for completeness, I want a neutral in here as well. Man, no, neutral's already there. We don't need it. We don't need it. And I do feel like this order is wrong. We should check for the evil first. There we go. Okay. That actually feels cleaner, even though I haven't changed the number of tests at all. It feels like there's a little more structure to it. So. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So what you're thinking? It doesn't have enums. If there is enums, that's a great question, McMahon. If there are enums, they are like one of those edge scenarios or one of the super new features that isn't necessarily supported by everything yet. I am not aware of them, but the JavaScript's been changing a lot lately. TypeScript probably has them, I would imagine, although I haven't really done enough TypeScript to know. Because you're right, enums for alignment and for class even actually work really well. I could probably make something that's effectively an enum. Like in Java, there was this old trick you could do before they put enums in Java, where you could create a class that had a protected constructor or a private constructor, and so that only that class could create instances of itself, and then you would create static properties that were, the enum values, where you say new object, and so it was the only one that could instantiate it. And you could probably do something similar with JavaScript, because you have the class syntax now, and so you could have a class that represents an enum. Although you couldn't put a private constructor on it. You could then have just like several class instances that they returned that represented those values. I kind of want to poke around with that idea a little bit. It's a little bit of a distraction, but it's tempting, just to see what that would look like syntactically. Um, yeah, I'm gonna poke around a little bit with that idea. I think that's an interesting idea. Um, I'm just gonna create a scratch pad and see what the code will look like. Does that sound interesting to people? Um, because if you'd really rather see me finish this up, I'll finish it up. But I'm kind of curious about creating an enum pattern. Okay, yeah, cool. Let's do that. I'm just going to create a little scratch file here. We're going to call this, let's just call it enums.js. And we'll say a class alignment. And we'll just give it a little constructor. And then its constructor, let's give it a constructor. We'll give it a string constructor. There we go. I can type. I type real good. Value. And then you say this dot value equals value. Sure, why not? And then this is private, right? But then we can say static evil. We'll say static good equals new. Will this work? Let's see. Let's see if it complains about this anywhere. Is it even bringing it in? See, I don't think this is valid JavaScript here. Can we create a static get? That would create a new one each time. I don't think we want that. You could. Okay, so I'm playing around with sort of the I'm thinking in terms of Java, and if I think in terms of JavaScript, what I could do is I don't even need this pattern. What I could do to in effect get an enum. This really wouldn't be an enum, but none of these are really enums. I could just do something as simple as module.exports equals good new alignment good, etc., right? I could do something like that. And then we just assign that to alignment, and then it's alignment.good, alignment.evil, alignment.neutral. And it looks kind of like an enum, but it's really not an enum. It's just it is actually using this little class. Actually, here, let's try this. Const good equals new alignment good. So we'll define our alignment class. And then down here, we'll define, those should go up top. And then neutral. I don't know if I like this or not. It might be a fun bit. It's fun to play with these things. I mean, that's how we learn, right? And then when we yeah. Yeah, this kind of works. And then let's get rid of that little bit of white space there. I did a lot of Java in my career. I've done a lot of JavaScript too. I haven't done a lot of JavaScript with frameworks. And then I can say module.exports equals alignment. Well, it's not complaining that it doesn't work, but no code's hitting it. So that's not really proving anything. And we're not actually going to make this private. That's sort of the metaphor here. Let's try... let's look at the alignment spec. Actually, before we do any of this, let me commit the previous code. Git status. We'll do git add spec hero attack modifier spec and commit that. Refactor alignment or attack mod spec. There we go. And git status. Oh wait, didn't add it. Oh. Helps if I... There we go. Attack modifier spec. If I actually add the correct file, there we go. Now, that's committed. Now I can go willy-nilly, and if this gets messed up, I can do git reset -- hard. So let's look at the hero alignment spec. And we basically are saying this. Like that. That's what we want our test to do instead. Now that's not going to work because we haven't brought in alignment yet. So we need to say, go ahead and say const alignment equals require /lib/enums. Let's add this to, well, let's do this properly. We'll return an object that contains alignment, because our other enums can end up in the same place then, just for now. And then in Evercraft.js, we need to say const enums equals, const alignment equals require /lib/enums. There we go. And then we can export alignment here. And now we've got plumbing that'll allow us to actually make the alignment spec that'll actually let us bring it in. So we can say const hero and alignment. There we go. And we got lots and lots of tests failing here. It's all okay. So my code is flawed. We have to do this down here. My instincts on that were actually right. Okay, so now we just have one failed test. And that's because it's not defaulting neutral. It's saying expected neutral to be value neutral. So expecting neutral to be an object that is neutral. So if we go to hero alignment.js and we say, this starts out as const alignment equals, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem for sure. Require /enums enums. We'll just call it that for now. I just want to see if this will... No, we can't call it that. Let's do this. Enums. And we'll just reference the whole object coming back. And then here we'll say enums.alignment.neutral. Yeah. Of course, this breaks lots and lots of stuff, doesn't it? Because there's a bajillion tests that rely on alignment. But it seems like it works. It's really just sort of, but because it's JavaScript, it's not really a proper enum, right? I mean, we've really just sort of created fancy constants. Although I guess that's kind of what enums are. Huh. That's interesting. I don't know if I like that or not. I don't think that's adding a ton of value, right? Yeah, I just wanted to explore the idea. I don't think I'm going to keep it because it'll just, yeah, like you said, it'll derail the stream. I'll end up, it's like, oh yeah, and then I went down this weird path of just doing some weird implementation of enums in JavaScript that no one ever does. When I could just, use a concept. Excuse me. Problem when you have this much beard hair is that it gets in your face and in your nose and in your mouth and drives you kind of crazy. Let me tell you something. Wearing a mask with this thing, major pain in the ass. I mean, I got a little mask here that I wear when I go out that I got from work, and you put it on, and oh look, okay, now I'm socially acceptable, but all the hairs get pushed against, and they go up your nose and in your mouth, and it drives you crazy. But better than Corona, right? So cool. Well, that was a fun little diversion. Thanks for suggesting it. I am going to keep calm and git reset -- hard, but I think that was an interesting little exercise. Cool. And I never committed that file, so I just have to delete it. Can you just delete it when I say delete, please? Move to recycling bin, sure, okay. And then let's get back to our tests and see where we're at there. Okay, cool. Let's just close, let's close everything. And we were looking at attack modifier spec. We refactored it. It's more cleanified. I think it's easier to read. Now we've got attack damage spec. Which actually kind of needs the same treatment. I apologize for the white noise that you're probably hearing in the background. The air conditioner just kicked on, and I'm very close to it, and so it's blowing nice, cool, delightful air on me, but it makes noise. Is what it is, I guess, right? So for the attack damage, we got critical damage and attack damage. These are two things. Let's do attack damage when a monk. Yeah, these need the same treatment. These need a very, very similar sort of test scenario where we're going through these scenarios, and I think we probably want these per hero, right? Or per class. So I think we're in a very similar situation here. So let's look at, so we'll say describe attack modifier, so it'd be attack damage for class lists, defaults. Let's just copy this over. Did I not? Oh, I missed one. I'm looking at my code, it's like, did I get reset hard? All the work that I just did? Because I saw that function on line 23. I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. But no, I didn't. I just missed one. So, good. That's much better. But yeah, so I think we end up with something that's very similar to this. And we say, and instead we'll say validate attack damage. And we want that up here. Want it like that. And then this gets indentified. Like that. And then let's take the validate attack modifier function and bring that over to be the validate attack damage. And we'll put that in here. Oops. There we go. And here, but our tests are different. Defaults to 1. Goes up when they're strong, goes down when they're weak. So we've got the strength score affects that. So we've got class, we've got level. Level doesn't matter. Strength does. And for the moment, strength is the only thing that matters. And then you've got the it goes up, it goes down. So defaults to 1. Attack damage is 1. Goes up when here. So if they're strong, that gives them +2, so they'll do 3 damage. When they're wimpy, it's still 1. Cannot. Goes down when 0 is wimpy. In a sense, this does not go down when hero is wimpy. It's actually is at least 1 regardless of strength. That's really our scenario. Now, we don't have any way that it could be more than 1 unless you make them strong. And validate attack damage takes the data, which is going to be the class and the strength and the attack damage. The moment we have a defender, but we don't care anything about that yet. We don't care about the level or the class. We care about the class. And we care about the strength score. Attack damage. Pass in the defender to be attack damage. Those pass, that's good. That takes care of this scenario here. And for a monk, we have a similar pairing here. So we can say describe for monk. Default some classes monk. Attack damage defaults to 3. Goes up when the monk is beefy. So that adds +2. So this would be a 3 here. That's going to add +2 to that. That'd be a 5. Goes down when monk is wimpy. be a 3 normally. If we give them a strength of, say, 6, that would be a -2, so that would take them down to a 1. Right? 8 would be -1, 6 would be -2, and then is at least 1 regardless of strength. So let's make them extra wimpy, and it's still going to be 1 point of damage. Cool. That covers attack damage. I'm kind of thinking for monk, and then we could say we could do the describe dot each, and we can do the same thing here. We can do that same sort of nested test, and we can just put in all the classes here. So it'd be none, fighter, rogue, paladin. And then for each %s, and then that will do something. That will do this. There we go. Did that just work? I don't think that's correct. Because the each takes an array of arrays. I think that trick works. No, that doesn't work. So what we want to do here is we want to say for classless, none. So we need that same pattern here. There's probably a better way to do this with Jest. I'm reasonably sure there is. Because I think if you just pass it an array, it assumes that the individual elements are just the thing, right? Because what's happening here is this first value becomes the %s, and then the subsequent values are passed in, and all those values then are passed in as values into this function. And so what I could do is I could say for, like in this scenario here, I could say I can say for none, and then this is just class. Because what I'm doing here is I've got the string, and then I have a data object. And so this string here, I don't care about it in this context. I make it underscore. And then in the second variable, it passes in all the, it goes through the array of arrays, and for each item in the array, it destructures that array and passes it in as arguments to the function you pass in. So this item and this item get put as underscore in data, and then data is an object, so then I look into it. In this case, just data, just the individual element should be passed in. It'll figure out this is an array. It doesn't contain arrays. And so it should then pass that in as just the class name. And then I can take whatever the first element is and shove it as a %s. It'll format it for me. So I think this will work. Let's find out. 4 failed. That's not too bad. Oh, there we go. That'll probably make them pass. Okay, that's better. Not a number. What? What do you mean it's not a number? Expected one received not a number. Oh, okay. So we call data.class. Yeah, so that doesn't. Okay. No, that should still work. That should still totally work. So it's going to loop over all these. And it's going to do a describe for each of them, right? And it's going to pass in class. Yes, hero attack damage for Paladin is at least 1 regardless of strength. Hero attack damage for Paladin goes up when hero is beefy. Hero attack damage for Paladin defaults to 1. Okay. Actually, I think these are just failed tests. Because I haven't done attack damage for Paladin. I think these are properly failed tests. Yeah, because Paladin's not up here. Yeah. That will make it pass. Yeah. So that is a correctly failing test. I added tests without realizing I'd added tests because I'm an idiot. There you have it, right? But Paladin's attack damage defaults to 1, right? That's what the spec says. Yeah, but it's +2 to attack damage from attacking evil characters, which we haven't done yet. But let's go ahead and pull out the critical damage as well. Yeah. Although that's a more complicated scenario. Let's not pull out critical damage. Let's focus on attack damage for now. So we got for the monk, we got for everyone else. And for the paladin, they're special. So I actually need to pull this back out for the paladin. So we'll say describe for paladin. We'll just copy pasta that down there. And yeah, default strength of 10 is fine. And then this is going to default to 1. Goes up when paladin is beefy. Be 1. That'll be 3. Goes down when paladin is wimpy. Is at least 1 regardless of strength. Yeah. That covers the basic paladin scenarios, which are identical to the ones here. Oh, hey Sarah, how's it going? I'm coding Dungeons and Dragons for fun and, well, fun. I think that's all I'm doing it for. I did know my name is Guy in French. It's actually kind of funny when I've spoken in Europe, where the French is prolific. People will assume that I'm Guy, and then they just have no idea how to pronounce my last name. And it's like Rolls Royce, but without the money. I actually kind of find it kind of fun that happens. I don't know why. It's kind of pleasant. It's like oh yeah, we know this name, and it makes me feel like I belong slightly more when I'm in French speaking. Yeah, that actually the Royse. Well, if they're French speakers, they do that weird R that I have no idea how to say, where they're just sort of like, yeah. I do get, I have had people think that it's Royse, which is kind of funny. It's just every now and then, you know how you get those moments where you, yeah. Well, maybe I did. I don't know. You get those moments where you just have the brain fart, and you're like, oh yeah, that's really obvious. Why didn't I see that? People do that with my last name occasionally, and so I never want to make them feel bad about it. But it's these patterns you run into when 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 I shortly after I got married, my wife changed her name to Royse because that's how we wanted to do things. Well, that's how she wanted to do things, and she her maiden name's Miller. No one spells Miller wrong, right? Everyone knows how to spell Miller. Yeah, it's like all hair, isn't it? Yeah. So she changed her name, and then about a month later, she's like, "Why does everyone keep spelling my name wrong?" Because everyone wants to spell it Royce, because that's the more common spelling. And I just laughed because my entire life I have yearbooks with pictures of me when I was a kid, and my last name is spelled wrong. Yeah, just the way it is. It's just kind of funny. So, yeah, I've been messing around with my camera angle. I've got a little tripod here in front of me now, so I'm trying to look a little more forward. And the way and I can't put it if I put it any further back, I'm like, it's like I'm low coding, and there's not enough head in there. So, and so I think the all hair is kind of a good look. It's working for me. So thank you for noticing. So, Paladins. Oh, hello, Grumpy Game Dev. How you doing? Gang's all here. Hey, Grumpy Game Dev, can you tell me what a monad is? Oh, just got through Paladins? Yeah. I'm not done with it yet. I keep refactoring my tests because I want them to be perfect. And since I'm working on this for fun, I can do that. Okay. So what I need to do here is on attack damage is the category of endofunctors. That's right. I'm going to memorize that so I can sound smart. I actually have been trying to figure out what the heck's a monad, and I'm still not there yet, but I just don't have time to learn it at the moment. So if the Paladin is strong, their attack damage goes up. If the Paladin always does at least 1 damage, just like everything else. It goes up by +2 when opponent is evil. The defaults. Strength can be defaulted. Attack damage is going to be 3. And then we need opponent alignment. And we're going to make that evil. Now, that means that we need to put a default one up here. Default alignment will be neutral. Come on, guy, you can type. Yeah, I've heard the burrito metaphor or analogy as well. And I mean, I understand in principle what that means. I get the idea. I just don't know what I would use it for yet. And so I need to actually like make it do a thing. I need to spend some time doing some functional programming so I can get my brain really properly wrapped around the idea. So the defender dot alignment equals data dot opponent alignment. So we need to set that alignment there. We need to set it up here too. Okay, so we've got 10 failed functions, which is way more than I thought I'd get. Undefined is not an alignment. I just fixed that, didn't I? I thought I just fixed that. Surely I just fixed that. Okay, what did I miss? I got opponent alignment here. It's part of the data. The data gets passed into the validate attack damage. Validate attack damage takes the data, takes the alignment, puts it on the defender. And we're getting an exception because sometimes opponent alignment is undefined. But that shouldn't be the case because it's defined here in defaults. Yeah, you know, burrito wrap problems sound good. I remember when my oldest son was born. His name's Luke. He's almost 20 now. But when he was born, then you know, you have your first kid, and it's kind of freaky, right? And so the nurse is saying, she's showing us how to swaddle him, and she's like, "Hey, just wrap him up like a burrito." And I'm like, "Oh, Luquito," and so now his name's been Luquito as a nickname ever since. So that was a burrito wrapped problem that was quite joyful. An imperative guest. I could be an imperative guest. That would be fun, actually. Yeah, I think F# for me is a friend of mine referred to them as Perless languages, where it's a language that changes how you think about programming. And for some people that have done like a lot of Java, JavaScript can kind of be that without them realizing it. But F# I think falls into that category. Cool. Does anyone see my bug here? I'm not seeing it. It's saying undefined is not an alignment. Creating the new hero. Yeah, that's actually kind of one of the things that's why JavaScript, you know, Douglas Crockford said it was Lisp and C's clothing, and for that very reason. I don't see what's... Okay, let's just console.log the data. I'm going to break down to console.log this thing because I can't see my foolish error. Do I just have like a garden variety typo? Did I just like spell opponent wrong or something like that? No. I mean, this last one fails for the expected reason. I expected 3, received 1. That one's failing for a good reason. The other ones aren't failing for a reason that I can see. I mean, they're just saying that I can't set that alignment. What am I... Yeah, can I get the debugger working on this thing? Let's see if I can get that working. No, I don't have that set up. I'm not going to mess with that on stream. Um, did I miss it in defaults? Yeah, it needs to be up there because then we pass in the dot defaults and it overrides it. Do I have, and I copy pasted that all into all the places, so it should be able to be spelled the same. Ah. Yeah, you're right. I did not scroll enough. That'll do it. There we go. And once again, I am an idiot. Thank you very much. Call me Fabio. There's a Fabio. I think Fabio is kind of fun. Yeah, you're right, Grumpy Game Dev, about the things they've been adding to C#. They're adding more and more functional capability to it. Okay. So we have one failing test that we expect to fail. So we can make that pass. So in hero attack damage, this plus base plus mod, and we got this at least one for critical. So for normal damage, base plus mod, and it must be at least one. So we need a if defender dot alignment is evil, and this dot I'm gonna create a function called is Paladin, just like I did in the other one. Then do something special. +2, and we're going to return it. Now I realize I just did a bunch of copy pasta there. We can just do this. Is Paladin. It's a property. Is Paladin. Return this dot class equals Paladin. That should pass, but it's ugly and needs refactored. So we'll say let's damage, let result equal this. Then if it's a Paladin, result plus equals 2. And then we'll return at least one result. There we go. And so now that should give us some other scenarios here. We've got goes up by 2 when opponent is evil. We need to hit the goes up, does not go up by 2. Does not go up when opponent is good. We've already tested evil. We've already tested neutral, just by virtue of the defaults. That should be a 1. That should pass as well. I've implemented all of these already. And then goes down when Paladin is wimpy, but fighting evil. We'll just do the evil scenario. Wimpy versus evil. There we go. That sounds fun. Sounds like a Popeye episode, doesn't it? Gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. There we go. I just want to apologize for that joke. It was actually really, really terrible. So please forgive me. I have shame. There we go. So we got an evil dude. But the Paladin, not all that buff. And so give the Paladin a 6 strength. So he gets a +2, but then a -2 for the strength. So that should be a 1. And that did not return what I wanted. Well, that's a good thing, in a way. Expected 1, received 3. I'm setting the strength there. There's the strength of 6. Opponent alignment is evil. Should be 1. Let's take a look here. There we go. I did a little too much. That should, now it's passing. There we go. I was flooring the base plus mod, and I didn't want to do that yet. I want to do that at the end, just once. Okay. And is at least 1 regardless of strength. So let's make the opponent evil again, just to get that up there. And then let's make the strength really, really low. And that should still pass. Cool. Well, that was actually not so bad. I should commit. Paladin versus evil. It's like Dale and Tucker versus evil, but you know, that'd be a great D&D character, wouldn't it? You have Dale and Tucker, and they'd be brothers Paladin, and they're going up against evil. So it'd be Tucker and Dale, or is it Dale and Tucker? Tucker and Dale, I can't remember. I love that movie. It's just so ridiculous and fun. Cool. Now I've got the critical damage as well in here, and it basically does the same thing. Let's take a look at what it does for a paladin. It does triple damage when critting on an evil character. And adds the +2 bonus for the regular attack, and then triple that. And so their crit damage depends on good versus evil as well. So I have this sort of pattern here for the crit damage, or for the attack damage, and we want the same basic pattern for the crit damage, and then it's a similar thing, right? But we have with the rogue, because the rogue does triple damage on a crit, and the monk, since they do different damage, their crit damage is different. Oh, that's not so bad. Okay, so let's just copy this, and yeah, copy this, and then we'll paste that down there, and we'll call it critical damage. I think is the function. Critical damage. Yeah. And then we will go through our classes in the same way. We know that we don't need rogue, but fighter and none follow the default rules. And so we got class, strength, opponent alignment. And that should be the 3 things we need here as well. Yeah, those are the same 3 variables we have down there. And so, and we'll do the 4, we'll go ahead and copy this here. Say 4 rogue. And then this will be validate critical damage. We'll set the alignment, make them the class, set the strength, and then we'll get the critical damage. And then I'm going to do a small thing here. Is I'm just going to rename in this function here. No, not that. Just that. I'm just going to rename this damage. Guess I could do it all everywhere, can't I? And then down in here, we validate attack damage. And this just be data.damage. It just makes it a little less wordy. And then, of course, like an idiot, I deleted all my colons. But now they're back. No biggie. And then he'll be data.damage, and we'll just call critical damage with the defender. Okay, we're in a very similar position here. So critical damage defaults to 2, goes up when the hero is beefy, so that'd be a 6, is at least 1 regardless of strength, cannot go below 1. Yeah. So that covers that scenario. So let's see my test output. I haven't looked at my test in a bit. I need to look at my test occasionally, you know. 12 failures. That's okay. We'll just append these out here. And now we should be green. Yeah, we got 14 skipped. Okay, now for a rogue, it's going to be 3, 14, and 6. So it defaults to 3. Goes up when the rogue is yeah, so it's the same 3 scenarios. Goes up when the rogue is beefy. So strength of 14, that would be normally 1 point of damage. Plus 2 would be 3. Tripled would be 9, right? Down here, I've got it at 14. Oh, no, that's 9. That's the 14. And then we got 9. Goes down when the rogue is wimpy. And actually, this is really kind of hits both scenarios here, right? So we got defaults to 3 because rogues do triple damage on a crit. When the rogue is strong, they get a +2 in this case. When they're weak, they get a -2, which would take their damage from 1 to -2 or -1. But you can't have a -1, so it's 1. And then you triple that, which would be -3, but it's still 1. So that's really all we need there. So is at least 1. I'll go with that test name because that's consistent with the previous scenario up here. And then for the monk, and what's failing? We got expected 3, received 6. Need to actually make it a rogue for it to test like a rogue, right? Crazy that. Okay. Now let's look at monk. Actually, does that mean I have it wrong up here too? No, it's because I copied monk. That's right. Okay. So rogue for monk. We'll go down here to rogue and get rid of the rogue. Since these scenarios are all being covered already. Defaults to 6. Goes up when the hero's beefy, cannot go below 1. Because monks do 3 points of damage, and so it doubles. So, defaults to 6. Goes up when monk is beefy, so that'd be 10, because we're doubling here. When the monk is not very powerful, if they're a 6, that takes them to 1, but the 1 would be doubled, so that would be a 2. But if they're really wimpy, they still get at least 1. Cool. And so that's the monk. And we can get rid of that. Don't want to get rid of that. There we go. And then that leaves critical damage for the Paladin. And critical damage for the Paladin is going to default to 2 because it's doubled. When they're strong, that's going to double. When their opponent is evil is when it gets interesting. Let's comment those out for now. Goes down when Paladin is wimpy. There we go. Got one failure there. I'm looking at this test and I realize I have this opponent alignment here, and I don't think I actually need that in this scenario. We're just saying if they're really wimpy, it goes down. And I think I want the other test for Paladin to work that way as well, because that strength score is so low that it would be 1 regardless of whether they were evil or not. But I got 3 failed tests. And I think I've got failed tests. I know why I have failed tests. I have failed tests because I haven't provided up here in the crit multiplier a crit multiplier for a Paladin for the default scenario. So those now pass because that's all we need to do. I mean, I've written all this plumbing code already for sort of setting the defaults for that. But now I need to say and 3x when opponent is evil. So when opponent is evil and a Paladin crits, that Paladin, she really smacks them hard. So So default would be 2. No, default damage would be 1. Versus evil would make it 3. Tripled would make it 9. So this should be 9. Now, if they're strong, I don't know if I want that scenario. We have a failing test. We should make it pass. Okay, so in attack damage here, we have, I think we have pretty much the same function. Yeah. Sort of. That's not right, because I need to. This is giving me base plus mod. This is adding the +2. This is exactly the same as this, but now I need to double it or triple it depending on if defender downline is evil and this is a paladin, results times equals 3. So that's going to be true in both scenarios. There's a better way to do that. But that's what I'm going to do for now. And then else results times equals this dot multiplier. And return at least 1 result. That passes. Good. That is probably a better way to do it. And then that just feels like the way to do it. This could actually be a ternary. Say results equals result plus. No, that's just going to be too hard to read as a ternary. I think this is actually cleaner this way. I've got some duplicated code in here. Which I think I can refactor out. Let's put the rest of the test around it first before I do a refactor. I think that's the better option here. So it does not go up when the opponent is good. So it should just be double because it's a crit. So this should just be 2. And it goes down when the paladin is wimpy. He is at least 1 regardless of strength. So if it's 6 versus evil, that's going to be 1 for base damage. That's going to be 2, 1. And then versus evil is going to be +3, and +2 to make it 3. Strength is going to be -6. That's going to be a -2. That brings it back to 1. Then it's going to be tripled to make it 3. That passes. Okay. Now we have enough scenarios where I feel safe in refactoring both of these. Because this bit of code here and this bit of code here are very, very similar. And so here we've got base plus mod, which is sort of the base damage plus the strength modifier. But I got this. I've got this bit of code here, which is duplicated with this here, and this if statement's duplicated. Now that if statement's going to be there regardless. But it feels like there's going to be at least there's something we can do here. Where we can say like +2 for Paladin. It's a terrible name, but it's what we're going to go with for now. Defender. And then we'll say base plus mod. And then return the result. And then this will turn into that. Which isn't too bad. Presumably that still passes. And then this is the unfloored damage. Yeah, it's the damage where we haven't floored it to 1, right? We haven't said it must be at least 1. So that's what this function really is. And so in the case of here, we say unfloored damage, and then we pass it to this dot at least 1. Which means we can just inline this thusly. There we go. And that could actually then be a single line. There we go. And then in here, we get the, it's the same thing. It's this dot unfloored damage. And then if it's a Paladin versus alignment, then so we say let result equal this for now. That's going to be result equals result plus times 3 for trebling. So I could really just do this. And then otherwise it's times that. Which it really means that I can do this. I can take this, and this will make a good ternary here. Like that. Okay, and that doesn't work. Probably because we need some parentheses. No, still doesn't work. Damn it. So we get our unfloored damage, which is just base plus mod, and then extra plus 3 if you're a Paladin. Which is working for We got 2 failed. We got a lot more than 2 failed. We got 15 failed. I boogered that up really good, didn't I? Well, crap. Let's see. Let me think through this again. So if do I need that? Probably that's not it. Now we got 21 failed. Even better. Let's do is Paladin versus evil. That feels like a helpful little function. When I can't see my error, sometimes what I find myself wanting to do is instead refactor my code a little bit so that it's clean, so it's clearer for me to see what it's doing. So here I'm saying creating a return this.class equals Paladin and defender.alignment is equal to evil, and then I can say, and that can't be a get, that's just going to be a function. And then we don't need that, so there we go. And we'll put that up here. Is Paladin versus evil. And then we really don't need the is Paladin anymore, because we're just going to say if this dot is Paladin versus evil, result plus equals 2. That's not working because it's a function. There we go. Turns out that's not a function's not a number. Oh yeah, thanks. Good catch. There we go. Yeah, that makes that a lot more readable, doesn't it? Did that change the number of errors that were failing? No. I'm just not sure if the parentheses are necessary there. I think the parentheses make it more readable. We're going to leave it at that. But now we have 2 failing tests, which is way better than where we were before, right? Critical damage for rogue goes up when rogue is beefy. Beefy. So why is the rogue not working? Expected 9, received 6. Oh, it's because it's not 2. It's this dot multiplier. There we go. Because the rogue does triple damage as well. That is totally not working. I'm going to say let multiplier equal this expression right here. So if it's Paladin versus evil, then it's tripled. Otherwise, it's whatever it normally is. And that's not a function. That's why that's failing. There we go. There we go. Okay. I think that's cleaner. And I actually feel comfortable now shoving this into here, since I've extracted out that multiplier, because that's the part that was making it hard to read. Yeah, that's still good. Cool. Thanks. Well, I think that's Paladin, isn't it? I've got the critical damage class refactored. I've got Paladin doing all the things that Paladins do: smite and evil, kicking names, taking ass, all that stuff. And it's just a little past 9. I think it's probably time to call the stream. So I just want to thank everyone for being on the stream tonight. I appreciate it. It's always nice to have a little bit of chat interaction, have someone to, so that we know, someone to interact with, right? It just makes the energy level better, I think, for everyone. I do need to commit my code. Don't want to not do that, lest my computer die and then me lose all my data. Yeah, thanks a lot. The big question now is, whom shall we raid, right? And, well, git push. I got to do a git push. That way this code's out there for everyone else. And as always, oh, yeah, did you find unfloored damage has not been called as a function? No. I think we're good. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much for the Prime sub. Always appreciated. But thanks for hanging out. Give me a follow. Go ahead and join the Discord server if you want to bug me. Pretty soon now, we're going to be starting a Wednesday night stream. Every other Wednesday night, we're going to be running a Dungeons & Dragons game as well. I'm going to be doing a heavy metal themed Dungeons & Dragons, which I think will be very cool. And so that's coming up on stream as well. But yeah, appreciate the follows very much. And I'm going to keep working on this thing until it's done, come hell or high water. But right now, I'm going to click on the raid button on my my thing. The thing. All the follows. Thank you. Let's see who is streaming NL. You know what? Chad is streaming. Chad from Codepalooza. Chad Green. Taylor and Code. I think he'd be a good person to raid. I haven't raided him before. He's raided me several times. So let's do that. So here we go. Looks like he's doing something in... Look, he's definitely doing code. So let's do that. Here we go. Raiding now. See y'all later. Bye.